You know, we all dream of that perfect cruise vacation. But what happens when the reality at sea is, well, less than perfect? Today, we're diving into four recent and, frankly, pretty shocking stories from the world of cruising. The kinds of things you definitely won't see in the brochure. Okay, let's get right into it. It's a question you probably don't even think about when you're busy finding your cabin or hitting the buffet, right? But our first story is going to bring that question into a really sharp and kind of unsettling focus. So here's what we've got on deck. We're starting with a crew member hiding a massive secret. Then we'll look at a serious travel warning for a really popular cruise stop. After that, we're unpacking some major drama on a Virgin Voyages cruise. And we'll finish with a truly grim discovery out in the Mediterranean. Okay, so our first story is about someone whose job it is to keep people safe, but who is actually hiding a deeply disturbing past. Turns out, a crew member was living a whole other life for years, right under everyone's noses. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. The person literally tasked with passenger security on a cruise ship was himself a wanted international war criminal. It's absolutely unbelievable. And what's truly staggering is just how long he got away with it. We're talking decades. For years and years, he just moved from one ship to another, using his security job as the perfect cover. It wasn't until this past spring, when his ship docked in Italy, that the law finally caught up with him. And listen, we are not talking about small-time charges here. He's believed to have been a member of the Sao Cria militia and is accused of some truly horrific things, like ethnic cleansing, illegal deportations, and even multiple murders during the Serbian-Croatian War back in the 90s. Now, before you start rethinking your next cruise, I have to stress this is an extremely rare event. Cruise lines do run background checks, but it definitely makes you wonder, doesn't it? Are those checks really enough to catch someone who's been a ghost for decades? All right, so we're going from a threat on board to a potential threat on shore. Our next story takes us to a really popular Caribbean destination, Trinidad and Tobago, where the U.S. government has just issued a pretty serious travel advisory. The State Department has put the country on a Level 3 advisory. So what does that actually mean? Well, it's a direct warning. The official language is Reconsider Travel, and it's issued when there are serious risks to your safety and security. And just to give you some perspective here, Level 3 is the second highest warning you can get. It's just one step below Level 4, which is do not travel. The government issued this one because of serious concerns over violent crime, things like robbery, assault, and even kidnapping. So for anyone with a cruise schedule to stop there, the advisory even gets specific about which areas to avoid, including parts of the capital city, Port of Spain. This is definitely something you'd want to be aware of, and it's probably a good idea to watch for any itinerary changes from the cruise line. Okay, let's switch gears from official government warnings to a totally different kind of storm, a social media firestorm that completely blew up on what was supposed to be a fun influencer cruise with Virgin Voyages. So the whole thing kicked off with a claim from Ashley Everett. You might know her as Beyoncé's former dance captain. She went on social media and claimed she was kicked off the stage in the ship's nightclub, suggesting it was for discriminatory reasons. But almost immediately, eyewitness accounts started popping up that told a very, very different story. Another content creator who was right there said the whole situation had nothing to do with discrimination and everything to do with safety rules on the stage. So let's break down what apparently went down. There were paid professional dancers on stage and a physical rope barrier separating them from the guests. According to a witness, Everett crossed that barrier, was asked repeatedly to step back behind the line, and was only escorted off after two other guests had already been removed for the same thing. She has since apologized for her initial posts. And for our final story today, we have to turn to something much more somber. A really tragic and mysterious event that unfolded in the Mediterranean Sea. An event that left both passengers and the crew completely shaken. The crew of the Sapphire Princess was in the middle of a 14-day cruise when they made a horrifying discovery. A single body floating in the water wearing a life jacket. The ship, of course, immediately changed its course to help, but the situation just got more and more tragic. Over the next few hours, they ended up discovering 4 more bodies in that same area. Just awful. So, to recap this, on a single day, April 21st, the Sapphire Princess found itself right in the middle of this terrible mystery, recovering a total of 5 deceased individuals from the Mediterranean Sea.
I mean, can you imagine being a passenger and witnessing that? An absolutely horrifying experience.
The ship's crew did everything they could and then handed the investigation over to local authorities before they had to continue on their way. Right now, the full story still isn't known, but the main theory is that these poor individuals were likely on a small boat that sank. Just a truly shocking and sad event to happen at sea. And that brings us to the end. From fugitives hiding in plain sight to official warnings and just awful tragedies, these stories are a stark reminder of all the unseen things that can and do happen out on the water. It really leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? When you're planning that perfect getaway, how much can you ever really prepare for the completely unexpected?